At 60 years old, Charlie Sheen is facing a reality that even decades of fame, fortune, and adrenaline-fueled living cannot shield him from. The body eventually reflects the life it has been given. For a man whose story has long been splashed across headlines, from blockbuster films to primetime television, the stakes are now profoundly personal. The decades of pushing every conceivable limit, through work, excess, and a life lived at full throttle, have left their mark. The medications that sustain him in his battle with HIV, once a lifeline, are also a reminder that even survival comes with costs. This is not a public spectacle, a tabloid story, or a scandal. It is a deeply personal reckoning, a quiet confrontation with the consequences of choices made over a lifetime. From Carlos Estevez to Charlie Sheen, a Hollywood beginning-born Carlos Irwin. Estevez into a family steeped in Hollywood history, Charlie Sheen's upbringing was far from ordinary. The son of Martin Sheen, an acclaimed actor, he grew up in Malibu surrounded by both privilege and expectation. It was clear from the start that he was not just another child of Hollywood royalty. There was an intensity to his presence, an undeniable talent that hinted at the cultural impact he would later have. Choosing the stage name Charlie Sheen, he quickly became a defining face of the 1980s, a decade he didn't just appear in, he helped shape. His early roles were cinematic moments in their own right. The raw, haunted soldier in Oliver Stone's Platoon, where his performance was more confession than acting, and Bud Fox in Wall Street, a young broker confronting ambition and moral compromise opposite Michael Douglas. Then, there was Major League, where his portrayal of the rebellious pitcher, Ricky Wild Thing, Vaughn, mirrored the untamed energy that would come to define his public persona. From the start, Sheen was more than a star. He was a phenomenon, embodying a mix of charm, talent, and a magnetic coolness that seemed limitless. Television stardom and the height of fame. The 1990s and 2000s saw Charlie Sheen transition from film to television with remarkable success. After stepping in on Spin City and earning a Golden Globe, he achieved global recognition as Charlie Harper on the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men. The character, a hedonistic, carefree bachelor, was a funhouse mirror of Sheen's public image, a role that made him a ratings juggernaut and the highest-paid actor on television at the time. With a salary of $1.8 million per episode, he became the king of primetime television, adored by millions. By nearly every measure, Charlie Sheen had reached the pinnacle of Hollywood success. A star on the Walk of Fame, a string of box office hits, and a leading role on the world's most popular sitcom. Yet, beneath the surface of his public persona, a private storm had been building. The public fall, a moment of reckoning. Sheen's fall from grace was both spectacular and public, a striking contrast to the calculated charm he had shown on screen. In 2011, amid the 8th season of 2.5 Men, his behaviour led CBS and Warner Brothers to halt production and send him to rehab for the 3rd time in a year. His response was not quiet contrition, but an intense media whirlwind. He demanded raises, publicly criticised the show's creator, and engaged in a series of interviews and appearances that were part manifesto, part spectacle. The winning era, complete with his talk of tiger blood and Adonis DNA, captivated the public while serving as a window into a man grappling with decades of personal struggle. Behind the theatrics, the roots of this chaos were clear. Decades of addiction, years of turbulent relationships, and private struggles that had remained largely hidden. His early stints in rehab, a near-fatal overdose in 1998, and high-profile personal conflicts, divorces, custody battles, and legal challenges, painted the picture of a life lived at extreme intensity. His public meltdown was not just about entertainment, it was the visible eruption of a lifetime of pressure, trauma, and coping mechanisms that had been silently accumulating. The HIV diagnosis. A private struggle becomes public. In 2015, Charlie Sheen revealed a truth he had carried in secret. He was HIV positive. Diagnosed around 2011, this news provided new context for the public behaviour that had shocked audiences worldwide. The revelation was a turning point, not just in his personal health journey, but in public awareness. Sheen's candid acknowledgement about the virus, the years of blackmail he endured, and the millions he paid to protect his privacy illuminated the private toll of living with a life-changing diagnosis. His openness also sparked a tangible public health impact. HIV-related searches surged and testing increased, highlighting the positive influence of transparency, even from a celebrity. Managing health? The hidden costs of survival. With treatment, Sheen's HIV has been managed effectively, but the very medications that save his life also carry long-term consequences. Powerful antiretroviral drugs, while crucial, can take a toll on the liver, cardiovascular system, and overall metabolism. For Sheen, whose body has already endured decades of strain from substance use, this represents a new phase of vigilance. The battle is no longer one of public perception, dramatic interviews, or headline-grabbing moments. It is deeply internal, a quiet struggle against the cumulative effects of years lived intensely. Sobriety, family, and rebuilding. Since achieving sobriety in late 2017, Charlie Sheen has focused on rebuilding his life in a quieter, more disciplined way. His twin teenage sons, Bob and Max, are now a central part of his daily routine, and he has been cultivating more stable co-parenting relationships with his ex-wives. These relationships, once a source of tabloid fodder, have evolved into a measured effort at connection and responsibility. Even professionally, Sheen has begun to navigate the industry with a new perspective. His appearances in projects like Bookie, reconnecting with creators from his past, signal a willingness to acknowledge mistakes while re-entering his craft in a thoughtful, deliberate manner. Confronting the legacy of choices. The transition into this phase of life has forced Charlie Sheen to confront the physical, emotional, and relational consequences of his earlier choices. What was once a life characterized by exuberant excess has become a life defined by awareness, discipline, and care. Daily routines, medication adherence, and lifestyle choices now carry immense significance. Each day is a negotiation with his past, a chance to honor recovery, to prioritize his family, and to mitigate the damage of years spent at the extremes. The fight is not one for headlines or awards, but for the simple, profound victories of health, presence, and self-respect. Redemption, resilience, and the human story. Charlie Sheen's journey illustrates the complexity of human resilience. His life is marked by contradictions, immense talent and public missteps, deep personal failures, and remarkable survival. Redemption is not a single dramatic moment, but a continuing process of reflection, responsibility, and personal growth. By facing the consequences of his choices, prioritizing his family, and managing his health with rigor, Sheen offers a narrative of hope, tempered by reality. He demonstrates that even after a fall, as public and dramatic as his, the possibility of rebuilding, though different from his past glories, is real and meaningful. A legacy in context. The legacy of Charlie Sheen cannot be reduced to one era or one persona. He will be remembered for his groundbreaking roles in film, his impact on television, his public meltdowns, and the candidness with which he revealed his HIV status. Yet there is also a quieter human legacy emerging. A man confronting the cost of a life fully lived, embracing responsibility for himself and his family, and navigating the health realities of aging with awareness and determination. The lessons of his life, both cautionary and inspiring, resonate beyond Hollywood, offering insights into resilience, vulnerability, and the possibility of meaningful change. Moving forward, acceptance over spectacle. At 60, the victories for Charlie Sheen are quieter, less flashy, and profoundly human. They are victories measured not in paychecks, ratings, or headlines, but in sobriety, the presence with his children, and the day-to-day commitment to health and well-being. The loud persona of Tiger Blood has been replaced by introspection, the public spectacle by private responsibility. His story is no longer about invincibility or denial, but about endurance, humility, and the capacity to face life as it is, not as it once seemed. Conclusion. A human story. Charlie Sheen's journey from Carlos Estevez to Hollywood icon, from public meltdown to personal reckoning, reflects the full complexity of a human life. He embodies talent and folly, recklessness and courage, excess and resilience. At this stage, the ultimate victory is not a new blockbuster or a ratings coup, but the ability to live each day with presence, accountability, and care. His story reminds us that even in the midst of struggle, there is potential for growth, connection, and meaning. At 60, Charlie Sheen may have left the stage of public spectacle, but the story of his human experience, fraught, complex, and ultimately instructive, continues.